Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 34 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 34 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smart ass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this. There are a lot of people out there struggling, and I want everyone to know someone is listening. I'm a nutritional health coach. I'm a recovery coach. All my services to you are free. Please, please reach out. If you think my book can help someone, because I sure do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com. My book is now on audio with my voice. So Simon & Schuster wanted to do it, but with someone else's voice, and I was like, no way. So my producer here, Ruben Rodriguez, part owner of Hamilton Radio and owner of Iron Horse Films, is now doing audiobooks with your voice, guys. Okay, so if authors are interested, please, please reach out. Before I introduce my incredible award-winning singer-songwriter guest, I would like to give a shout out to a few people and some of my sponsors. And Casey LaCourse, I want to give a huge shout out to you first, girl. You are my cowgirl poet, okay? We love you, and thank you for introducing me to my beautiful guest today. So, my newest sponsor, guys, is Robert Sweeney, retired U.S. Air Force, and he's also a one-man band guitar player, writer, producer, AI digital creator, okay? And he made me an AI theme song that we're going to be playing at the end of this show, okay? It's amazing. He also wrote a song about the Jersey Devil that he's hoping to get put into a movie. Explore powerful stories of love, loss, and legacy through his music and videos on YouTube and Spotify. Let's bring these emotional and thought-provoking tales to life. It's unbelievable what's going on with AI, but that's Robert Sweeney, okay? And you'll hear the theme song he created at the end of the show. Then we've got John Bishop, a.k.a. Johnny B., singer-songwriter, host of the Entertainment Luncheon South, a nonprofit created for the creative. Okay, he's also the partner in the Joey D and Johnny B Rocking Oldies band, and he's also solo, but a huge shout-out to him and his wife, Lenny, for putting on this once a month. It's by invite only. It's $20, great food, great entertainment, and he doesn't keep a penny of it. And he promotes all of us like nobody else does. He is amazing. And then I've got here Stormin' Norman Selden, performing for live concerts and national events and promoter of shows, 732-245-4777, www.storminnormanselden.com. Guys, he is a beast on the keyboard. Okay, he also now does private lessons, and a lot of people don't know this, but he helped get Larry Chance from the Earls back in the day started. Larry, you were like family. We all love and miss you. Rest in peace, Angel, and I know you are singing in heaven with Elvis. So having said all that, now I want to introduce my really great amazing, cool, award-winning guest. Okay? Carol Markstrom, say hello to everyone.
Great to be with you today.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've been doing some traveling off and on, but I'm home now, which is nice. So I'm doing some songwriting and making my next plans for
Very
where I'll be
cool.
going.
So, how do you know Casey? How did you guys connect?
Well, oh, bless her heart. I was performing in Mesquite, Nevada, which is about an hour from Las Vegas, and she got wind of it and drove over to meet me. And I mean, she made a good effort, and that just sealed our friendship right there. So we've been friends 7 or 8 years now. Some of my songs are fit into kind of a Western genre, and she does cowboy poetry. So
Yes.
we are at some of the same events, we get together whenever we can.
Oh my gosh, I just love her.
Yeah. Oh, she's such a great. She's great at her art, but she's such a great promoter of others.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if people know that about her. How much she is doing to promote other artists through her biweekly, social media program, Hearts of the West. Plus, she has connections internationally, and
Yep.
she promotes us all over the world. She's gotten me going in Australia.
Yep.
I so much appreciate that.
Yeah, I love Australia because that's like my home away from home. I have like 200 friends there. Really cool. So, now tell everyone a little bit about you. So, you're an award-winning singer-songwriter.
There you go. Well, it's right. I'm based out of Tucson, Arizona, but I grew up in Minnesota. I've really had two careers in my life. I'm a psychologist by training, and then I was a university professor as an academia, as a researcher for years and years. But I was also doing my music, and for the last 15 years, and so I kind of had these two careers going. But the music won out, and I left academia as much as I loved it. I loved my students. I was a researcher and writer, but just something sparked inside me, and I had to go embrace this new direction in my life. So I've been, I guess, since I would call 2010 as my turning point, when I was inspired by other singer-songwriters, and I started writing my own songs, and since then have recorded 5 albums and continue to write and release songs and perform and travel now internationally. So it's just been a great journey all the way around. And also, I'll mention, I feel like this theme is going to come out in my work or as we talk. One of my areas of expertise at the university was in Native American studies, and
Oh my
which
gosh.
my heart has been in my entire life. Even though I'm not Native, I've lived and worked on Indian reservations and still maintain strong connections with those communities. So many of my songs are embedded in Native American history and culture. I think one of them I sent to you, Seekers, is one of those. So I sort of have linked my two careers in that way, in terms of what I would teach and do research on, but then it evolved into telling these stories in songs. And that's been an interesting challenge, but a way to keep me connected to what's important to me.
So, okay, I want to ask you a couple questions. I'm looking for something that I want to talk to you about, but I want to
Yes.
ask you a couple questions. When you were growing up, who were some of the entertainers that inspired you?
Well, when I was a teenager, I guess, is when I first started playing guitar, and I really liked folk music. I was drawn to some of the older, the first really folk musicians, I guess, Bob Dylan, and some of Peter, Paul, and Mary's songs, Emmylou Harris, people like that, even going, back to, Woody Guthrie, some of those artists, because a lot of them had, you know, songs that were just 3 or 4 guitar chords, and so they were easy to learn, these anthems, and my heart was sort of had that social activist spirit in it even back then. So I really was drawn to that to start with, and then of course, I just embrace everything. I love all kinds of genres.
So I just interviewed a couple weeks ago Dee Dee Austin. She was on Canada's Got Talent. She is an Indigenous Artist of the Year. Okay? Her great-grandmother was in that school. Okay? And when I normally don't reach out to interview too many guests because I have all these promoters and friends that are just constantly sending me people to interview. I reached out to her and I prayed. I said, Lord, if it's in your will, please have her say yes. And she responded within 24 hours. Okay? Because you're talking about the indigenous people.
Exactly.
So years ago, a woman named Ahidika came from her tribe to come live in my studio. Okay? She brought me the Doctrine of Discovery to watch. I wrote like a 5-page poem story about that. I'm going to email that to you.
I want to read it. Yes,
I actually, you know what I'm going to do also? I'm going to share Dee Dee's show with you because I read the entire poem in the beginning of this show. Okay? So I'm going to share this to you also, okay? And you'll have the whole show. And in the very beginning, you could hear the entire poem. I texted it to you, okay?
Right.
So I feel what you feel about that because a lot of us didn't even know really, truly what really went on. And when I found out the truth, I could not even believe it, that we did that to these beautiful people. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Oh, my goodness. So now let's talk about some of your writings. How many songs have you written? About.
Oh, well. Yeah, maybe 75 to
Whoa.
100, and not all of them have been recorded, of course, and I always have about 20 songs in various stages of development. That's kind of my style of songwriting. I kind of go back and forth with different songs as I get moved to do so. But most of my albums, or all of them really, are comprised mostly of original songs. But I do covers too. There's just some songs that to get selected by me as a cover to be cover someone else's song, it has to be a really special song that has spoken to me and that I've been performing, and audiences have really enjoyed my renditions. But mostly I'm recording and performing my own material.
Okay. You do sing some covers, though.
I do, yeah,
Okay.
and it depends on the venue, and sometimes for example, I'll go into a new venue the first time, and I'll maybe go with the intent of doing my songs, but then as I get in there, you pick up the vibe. This audience, they want to hear some familiar songs, so I have to adapt right on the spot, and that's fine. I'll do it. But then it can work the other way, where audiences want my material, and great, that's what I want to give. But
Right.
I want the audience to be entertained and to hear what's pleasing to them.
What are some of your favorite cover songs to sing?
Okay, well, "Angel from Montgomery," John Prine's song. I've been doing a Casey Musgraves song lately called Space Cowboy. Let's see. I've been doing even remember Cranberries. I like their song Zombie. I do that. When I want to get a rock and roll, I'll put that in there. Yeah, because I think it's a good sort of awareness. Maybe you could even call it an anti-war song, So that's what it is. So I pull different songs from different, and some Bob Dylan's, of course, like Blowing in the Wind and Forever Young. I do that one. Sometimes I'll end my shows with that song. I've always liked the duo, and I'm so sad they broke up. Civil Wars.
Okay.
I recorded and performed one of their songs, which is called Devil's Backbone, and because it just sort of fit my genre of music. So yeah, I really go across the board, and even go back to Patsy Cline, and I Fall to Pieces, and yeah, and I don't know if you've heard of Patsy Montana. Like in the 1930s and 40s, she was sort of America's cowgirl sweetheart. I recorded one of her songs too, called Nevada. Old Nevada Moon, so, and she did, I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart. Some audiences love, out here in the West may like that song. So you can see, I'll go back to Lead Belly and do In the Pines. Now we're talking 1920s,
Oh, do you ever do any Elvis?
I have not done an Elvis, but I've played around a little bit with, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
You should do it, because I think you could do that song beautifully.
Yeah, it's such a sweet song.
So,
right.
All right, so I'm going to have the producer play one of your songs, and then we'll have you talk about it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yea, for us we say, but not all sides applaud. We can't be defeated by division. We're exhausted with it all. Can we unite as humankind, as people deeply flawed? Division is human-made. That's how it's always been. Land, culture, beliefs, the color of our skin. But differences aren't to blame. There's something else within. We'll build a bridge across the chasm that divides. It will span all disputes and teach us to unify. At times the load will be heavy and the bridge will sway, but with hope and trust we'll shed our fears and find a better way. On this bridge that goes both ways, we'll find a better way. We drive the same roads, we share the same fate. We shop at the same stores, we say have a nice day, but it only takes a divisive word. Love is lost to hate. Can we step out of our tribes, turn things around, discard our frail egos we wear as protective crowns? Imagine a place of understanding and common ground. We'll build a bridge across the chasm that divides. It will span all disputes and teach us to unify. At times the load will be heavy and the bridge will sway, but with hope and trust we'll shed our fears and find a better way. On this bridge that goes both ways, we'll accord. What someone embraces, another can't support. We're not Gandhi or Mother Teresa or Jesus who taught. Blessed are the peacemakers, they're the children of God. We'll build a bridge across the chasm that divides. It will span all disputes and teach us to unify. At times the load will be heavy and the bridge will sway. But with hope and trust, we'll shed our fears and find a better way. On this bridge that goes both ways, we'll find a better way into a better day.
Very, very pretty. Tell us about that song.
That's my latest release, single I released in March, and it's really different from anything I've ever written, and it came out of, I guess, just my feelings of angst, I guess, about divisions in society. And, you know, I have friends across the political spectrum, and I try to stay friends with everyone. But, you know, it's so easy to get divided, even though I think we have more in common than what divides us and in society. So it just, you know, I got to be honest, and sometimes I'll be thinking of a song or performing it, and it's like, I don't believe this is possible. And then, but I thought, I got to keep singing it, though. I just got to keep singing it. I got to have faith, you know, that we can build bridges of understanding between us, and we can focus on our common ground, I guess, is the message I'm trying to get across in this song. It's a hope of what can unify us, perhaps, rather than divide.
That's beautiful. So I have a question. The majority of the songs that you've written, are they all of personal experiences or just a mix of everything?
You know, that's a really good question. They're becoming more personal. When I first started songwriting, I was writing stories of the West and maybe, like I said, what came out of my classroom teaching and Native American studies. And so I was telling other people's stories. But I still think they're personal in the sense that I'm singing about what's important to me, stories that I think need to be told. You know, like I have a story, a song of Lozen, who is a female Apache warrior. And her story is one of strength and resilience. So I embrace those qualities, and so that's important to me. But I've got to say, on the last gradually, you're going to hear more of my story in my songwriting. It's an interesting transition that's happened to me, and I can't explain why, but they become much more personal, more self-expressive, and so you will hear some of that, more of that than you used to in my songs.
Well, how long ago did you start writing songs?
Around 2010, I got in with a group of singer-songwriters, and I thought, you know, I'm tired of singing other people's songs. Okay. I've got things to say too, and I was doing most of my performing then. Really wasn't performing; it was playing in, you know, church bands, and then I started branching out, you know, to coffee shops. And at first you start out and you're not even paid anything. You just do it because you got to get out there and do it. But I was with singer-songwriters, and I just thought, yeah, I've got stories that I can do this. I can do this. You know, it was just sort of like, you know, light bulb going off. And from that point on, I just started writing and continue to do so.
Because I think what happens as we get older, okay, things do become more personal. And then we have more stories. And, we change our opinions and our feelings, every year that goes by. You know what I mean? Sometimes we'll be saying, because I'm a poet, and sometimes I'll be like, I'll read poems that I wrote 25 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, wow, well, I don't really feel that way anymore. So I get it, and it's the same thing with songwriting.
We do evolve. We absolutely do. And I think maybe become more self-reflective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that my story, even I may be writing a song that maybe is fiction in a way, but I'm coming through it as well. And
Right.
so it's like people don't know, is that Carol or is it, it's
Yeah.
a mixture.
So I have a silly question for you.
Okay.
So growing up, did you ever have like that favorite song?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow, what would that be? I don't know. What just came to mind, and I can't, and it probably isn't a favorite song, but it's when it comes on the radio, like Cyndi Lauper and Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
I mean, sure. Come on. That's one of the funnest songs, makes everybody smile. Okay?
Yeah.
I went to years ago, my daughter is now 44, but she was probably, I don't even think, she was probably 16. So this is going way back. And I went with my parents to Atlantic City, and we had front row and to see Cyndi Lauper. So they're not very big stadiums, so we were right there, and when she started singing that song, I grabbed my daughter and we ran up to the stage, and we're leaning on the side of the stage. And she just kept coming over to us, and that song is priceless. Okay, right?
Yeah.
And I
absolutely.
agree with you. I'm not saying it was my favorite song, but one of the coolest songs ever.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it's fun when it comes on the radio, you listen, you don't change the channel.
Not
Yeah.
at all. And you sing and act silly and blah, blah, blah. Now you're making me want to go listen to it, okay?
Both going to go listen to it when we're done. Yeah.
Okay? Oh my gosh, that's great. So now
Yeah.
let's play a second song, and then we'll have you talk about it.
Okay.
I can't hold a candle to her or walk in a room and make heads turn. Won't be the star of a rock and roll band or write cool lyrics like Townes Van Sant. Won't be on the cover of the Rolling Stone or win a Grammy to grace my home. Life is perfect. I've played a few circuits, found my purpose. Oh, life is perfect. Made up my mind to go my way. Escape the cage that they made. Pull into town in a yellow van. In a peasant dress, a matching headband. Find my way to the county grandstand. Backed by a slick-looking cowboy band. Life is perfect. I played a few circuits, found my purpose. Oh, life is perfect. It took me a while, is all I can say. Grab the brass ring when it comes your way. Center stage at a res rodeo. Cowboys, Indians, horses, and bulls. sing till dawn, great divide. Fans by my side, watch the sunrise. To the end of the road in the last frontier. Rugged folk come, lend an ear. Life is perfect. I played a few circuits, found my purpose. Oh, life is perfect, so perfect, just perfect.
So tell us about this perfect song.
Well, when I perform it, I always say it's my most autobiographical song, and it's came out on my 2021 Mile After Mile album, which is also probably my most autobiographical album. It's just coming to a place of acceptance and gratitude in life. Really kind of celebrating the great experiences and opportunities that have come my way. That yeah, it's hard work, and I'm out there always, trying to get the gigs and promote myself. But I've had great opportunities and met such wonderful people along the way. I'm getting ready for another music tour in Alaska. I'll be performing in Europe this fall. I mean, I didn't envision all of these opportunities. So it's like, I'm very unlikely I'll ever win a Grammy, but, I've won other awards. I've had recognitions. I have great fans. I love my audiences, and I think the feeling's mutual. So I've had wonderful people perform with me. So it's just coming to a place in life of, and just being grateful for what I have. And it's wonderful. I really enjoy it. I didn't envision this career path, years ago. I thought I'd never wanted to leave academia. I love that career path too. Mm-hmm. But this has been a gift. It really has. And so perfect is, life isn't always perfect, of course. But, it's a wonderful thing to say, though, that I have much to be grateful for. And that's what the song's about.
Well, the poem that I will be reading in a few minutes is called Utilizing Gifts and Talents. Okay, so it is a gift. And so I have a question. So do you always play solo, or do you have a band?
Half and half. I like it when, there's different guitarists I know who know my repertoire, who perform with me. One is Jim Jones from Albuquerque, and we just did a little 3-day tour in New Mexico and Arizona. So when our schedules can coincide in the right town, in the right time, he's one of my favorites to perform with me. I like to have another guitar there when I can, to just give another dimension to my playing and performing. But like I said, about half the time it's just me up there with my guitar, in terms of the venue and the kind of setting that I'm performing in. Sometimes that's all it calls for is a one-person singer-songwriter kind of event.
Do you play any other instruments?
No, I don't. Guitar's enough for me. I'm not trained in a. I've had a lot of lessons, but I'm not trained as a musician. So very much self-taught on music theory and the mechanics of playing guitar.
Okay. Did you take singing lessons ever?
I have, yes.
Okay.
I've had singing lessons. When I was younger, I used to sing in choir. Well, even when I was older, I sang in choir. But everywhere I've lived, I've had voice lessons, and I think the turning point for me was here in Tucson. About 10 years ago, I connected with a vocal coach who trained me by the man she was trained by. Roland Wyatt was his name. And if you remember the Manhattan Transfer, he was
Sure.
their, yeah, sure, of course, they're great. He was their vocal coach.
Okay.
And so he had a particular theory of vocal training that Janice Jarrett, who I work with in Tucson, used his style, and it just it really opened up just my voice, not just breathing, but in using all of my vocal muscles that you wouldn't think about in your face and neck, and vocal exercises. Roland Wyatt had put together vocal warm-up tapes with the Manhattan Transfer singers.
Okay.
So they were you echo after them. And that changed everything for me. You know, I really brought my voice into a new place, and even people began to say, your voice has really, you know, gone to, you know, just opened up in a new way. And I really have to credit both Janice and Roland Wyatt, who's sadly passed on, but his vocal tapes, I think, are still available.
Beautiful. So we have one more song, right, producer? Let's play our third song, and then we'll have you talk about it.
Okay.
A wise man said, there's nothing new under the sun. Stories once spun, is the magic undone? Symbols carved long ago, deep in stone. I walk dirt paths to make these mysteries known. Messages in stone from ages ago stood the test of time, that we might know we are seekers after all. We are seekers after all. I hear ancient voices calling deep from the canyon. Ghostly eyes watch. These are my companions. A spiral etched in rock is my guide. I'll find my way back home in the circle of time. Messages in stone from ages ago stood the test of time, that we might know we are seekers after all. We are seekers after all. Reach toward a handprint, gently trace the lines, seeking a vision someone left behind. An eagle glides above and one stares from stone. Have faith in yourself, touch the unknown. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Who needs words when the heart is stirred? They came as seekers like you and me, on a quest for a shared destiny. Messages in stone from ages ago stood the test of time, that we might know we are seekers after all. We are seekers after all. We are seekers after all.
beautiful. Tell us about that song.
That one, Seekers, is the title track from my latest album that came out, which is 12 original songs, all on aspects of Native American cultures. And some of the songs on there were one of the first songs I had ever written and recorded, but we redid them, and we sort of put this collection together, which I'm actually working on making into a book, but that's another story. But Seekers, I think, encapsulated the spirit of what I was trying to get across in this collection of song. It's about rock art, petroglyphs and pictographs that we find throughout the West, but really they're everywhere in the world. It's just that they're, because of the climate, may be better preserved in the West. And I go to these sites, whenever I'm in an area where I know they're at, and go back to the same places and walk through them. And of course, like anyone else, you ponder what were these ancient people communicating? That it could be from 800 years ago, it could be from 3,000 years ago, but they had stories to tell just like we do, and that was their medium of expression in their rock carvings and paintings. And so I put a lot of thought into. I wrote pages and pages of notes of the meaning, the symbolism, and ultimately just sort of came down to, we're not so different from one another. We're all telling our stories in certain ways, and theirs have endured, for eons. And here we are today. They're very spiritual in many ways. It seems like, at least, that's the impression, one feels when you go to these sites. So, Seekers is my contemplations of what these ancient people were about, and how we're not so different from them either.
I agree. Wow, beautifully said. So, you're going to be on a tour in Alaska?
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, several times.
Okay.
I have family there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the Kenai Peninsula. So I've done other music tours. I haven't done a tour since before, for 5 years. I was up there last year for a different reason, but, I'm just excited about this upcoming trip to perform at Salmon Fest, which is the largest outdoor music gathering in Alaska.
Wow.
This is my second time to perform there.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm performing at some other venues, and then just sort of taking in the beautiful scenery and experiences, and the midnight sun this time of year. So that's coming up in a month. I'll be back in Alaska. It's such a gift to be able to be there and to share my music, and some of the songs I've written are about Alaska. So it's an inspiring place for my music, for sure.
Well, I visited there years ago with my dad when he was still here. We went on a cruise for a week and then land for a week. And I was so upset because I never got to see a bear. I had to take pictures of the billboards with bear, okay? I've seen bear in Robbinsville, New Jersey on my road, okay? I was like, I came all the way here to see a bear.
And they didn't cooperate. They're there, though.
No. So that's cool. And now you're going to be touring Europe?
Right. I'll be going over in September and October for the Red Carpet Award shows. I have a couple of nominations, and I was at that award show 2 years ago as well.
Where is it?
It's in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a wonderful international gathering. It was, I made so many friendships came out of meeting like-minded musicians from literally around the globe, and so I'm so excited to reconnect with those people, and just to share, our music as well. One individual, Thomas Rittmeyer from Berlin, he backed me in a song I performed 2 years ago, and then I'm performing again at the awards show this coming September, and he'll be backing me. And then Thomas and I are performing at a country music festival in Erfurt, Germany, as well, a few weeks after that. So that's going to be pretty exciting. It's a very large country music festival, and so we're putting that show together.
Amazing. So, okay, I'm going to read this poem out of my book now. All right. So, I like reading this poem called Utilizing Gifts and Talents because there are a lot of people out there who question their self-worth. They question if they have any gifts to offer. And I'm here to tell you, you all have something to offer. You just have to figure out what it is. I say this a lot, Carol. Imagine how life would be if we didn't have sanitation workers. I mean, think about that, right? So everyone has something to offer, So if you're struggling out there, listen to these words, okay? Utilizing gifts and talents. We are born with talents. We are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry, and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used. God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure using our gifts to go on tour, like this lady's doing. Look at her. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second-rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened, then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Carol Markstrom, baby, will live forever, forever and a day. So go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you're doing, girl. You're leaving a really great legacy.
I really appreciate those words, and they're so true. I think I myself, probably we all underestimate how much of an influence we can have on others.
Right.
Sometimes my former students will come back to me and say, you said this, and that really made me think. That really changed something. And it's like, wow, if I knew I had that much influence, I maybe would have tried more. I don't know. But we really do, when we're in the public, expressing ourselves and our stories and our thoughts, they do have an impact. So it does put a responsibility on us in terms of what we're sharing, but also to recognize that, maybe we're looked up to more than we realize. At least that's kind of a realization that came to me later, actually.
Yep. I want to share something with you, a really cool little story. It's bittersweet, but years ago when we first started doing these shows, we were live on Facebook, so people could type in from Facebook and talk to us and even call in, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm doing a show, and this guy is watching and says, Jerry, do you remember Mr. Gray? He said his first name, Bill Gray. And I said, Mr. Gray, my art teacher from grammar school? And he was like, yes, Jerry. Long story short, it was because of that man that I went to art school in 1979. It was because of that man that I never stopped pursuing my dreams. He only lived 10 minutes from me. He married our Spanish teacher. Not only did we get to reconnect, he passed away a couple years ago, and I was there right before he passed away. And I told him everything I felt about him and the impact he had on my life. And so you're right. There's so much that we don't even know, okay? So I always tell everybody, just do your best and be kind.
Amen to that, for sure.
So, Carol, I want to thank you so much. This was a very cool interview. Casey, I love you, girl. Thanks for the connection. Casey LaCourse, everyone, the cowboy poet, but I call her the cowgirl poet, baby, okay? She's my cowgirl, all right? We love her. Check her out, Casey LaCourse, okay, guys? Carol, I want to give you back the mic. You have a few minutes. I want you to close with whatever it is you want to say to everyone listening.
Well, thank you so much, Jerry. I just want to start with that. I really love the vibe of your program, and how you let me talk about what I want to say. I think the songs I sent you were the right ones for us to put out there today, and every song has a story behind it. And sometimes when I'm performing, I have to watch it that I could just talk and talk and talk about the song, but you got to let the song speak for itself too. Even though there's always an inspiration behind a creative work, and I think that inspiration is interesting as much as the creative work. So I'll just put that thought out there to everyone to be inspired. And let your inspirations have you create in whatever way is most meaningful to you and your talents.
Yes. Beautifully said. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So, guys, please share the show. I mean, this is so cool, and she's so inspiring. Again, Carol Markstrom, everyone, award-winning singer-songwriter. And again, Casey LaCourse, our cowgirl poet. We love you. So now we're going to close with the song that Robert Sweeney wrote and had created by AI. So this is a new theme song I'll be sharing at the end of my shows now, guys. Here we go.
Here we go now to the Geri Petito show, and we are here. We all got the Geri show, and she loves Elvis. Here we go, the Geri show. We're going to the Geri show, so grab your popcorn and relax.
Okay, that's not it, guys.
Works.
No, here's the real one.
Welcome to the stage where stories untold, candid moments captured, memories unfold. Gary's got the vibes, a soothing flow. Come sit back, relax, let the good times glow. Jazz in the air, let it take you away. Welcome to the Geri Petito show, where every heartbeat and every note flow. Jazz melodies weaving through the night. Together we'll shine, everything feels right. Deep conversations where the heart finds a voice. Together we laugh, sometimes we rejoice. Tales of adventure, the rhythms embrace. In each note a journey, feel the space. Step into the light, let the music. Welcome to the Geri Petito show, where every heartbeat and every note flow. Jazz melodies weaving through the night. Together we'll shine, everything feels right. So tune in now, let the magic start. Geri's podcast, a place for your art.